we can continue that meeting to another night, and it would just, I'm sure I would post it again, of course, but.
Yeah.
But
Continuity.
Brian,
So
are you gonna speak on that on this, or is
recording
Jackie?
now. Well,
Yes.
yeah, I will. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll say something. But we don't have a quorum yet, so
I know.
what should we do? Email?
I was told by I got the thing today. Well, I knew I was going to meet today, so it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So did anybody call the other ones?
No calls were made, at least I didn't, but everybody got the same email and.
Let me see if I can do a round of calls here. As we have to find my stuff. Okay.
I think I have Jackie's. number.
Jackie here. I'll call. I'm gonna go away and come back in a minute.
Okay. Oh, that's a nice picture, David.
Yep, we're right there at somewhere around where you live, I think.
Across the street.
But I don't want to say anything, not over the air. I know where you live.
David, don't tell nobody.
I'm not.
Hello, Mr. EJ Sebastia.
Good evening.
Good evening, EJ.
Somebody went to Hawaii.
Who went to
Right,
Hawaii?
Hawaii.
It was a quick trip.
The virtual world is right there at your fingertips.
Oh yeah. This is how I get through my Zoom meetings at work. Looking at this in the background gives me hope.
EJ, have you thought of being a like disc jockey or something?
I don't think I have the humor or quick wit needed for that. Continuously stumbling over my words.
Well, I don't think so.
Oh.
I sent Jackie a text. We'll see what she responds. Maybe on the other line with Brian. I don't know.
Okay.
I checked the attendees and nobody's hanging out over there, so.
Trish, did you send the email today? The
I
invitation?
sent the panelist invite today, yes, at
Okay,
about
good.
2.
All right, okay. Can you send an panelist invitation to Jackie? I'm assuming that it was sent, but she's not finding it in her email.
It was down about 2 o'clock. Let me see if I can get into my
She
email
said she
from
sent it
here,
about 2 o'clock.
from Intermedia.
Okay. She's gonna. Yes, I think, let me find out, hang on.
If she comes into the regular meeting, I can promote her to panelist.
Yes, as you said, Jackie, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Luis.
Hello, Louise.
Okay, Jackie should be joining us by regular meeting, and going to, and Luis is here. Thank you, Luis. Very good to see you.
And what about Dr. Baines?
Dr. Baines, I got her voicemail, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But we do have a quorum.
So we have a quorum, so should we start,
Yes.
Trish? It's 6:07 PM. I call to order, and it's 6:07 on Tuesday, February 22nd. I'm calling to order the special meetings on the Planning Commission. Could you take the roll call, Trish, please?
Yes.
I see Jackie is here.
Okay. Luis Machane,
Present.
Yolanda Delgado,
Present.
David Maderas,
Present.
Jackie Morris Lopez. She in the attendees. Is that her phone number?
I don't know. Not off.
Let's see. Yes, that's her phone number. And I just allowed her to talk, I think. Ask to unmute. There we go.
This is Commissioner Morris Lopez, present.
Dr. Mary Baines. Let me check my attendees real quick. No, it doesn't appear that she is out there.
Okay. With that, could you take the pledge of, can we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Luis Machane, do you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Could we please stand? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the
Of the
flag
United
States
States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one
One
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
Indivisible.
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for
just
all.
for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Machane. Okay, now, opening announcement. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code Section 5495(3), parentheses 3, parentheses 1A, in order to minimize the spread of the COVID virus. The Planning Commission is conducting this meeting by Zoom webinar and will be offering alternative options for the public's participation. You are encouraged to watch the meeting live on Zoom or Facebook. The Zoom meeting ID is 892-4107-2419. And tonight we have action items. We need to approve the affidavit of posting of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda of posting the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Deputy City Clerk, could you have a roll call, please?
Like, Commissioner Matchane,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Baines is not present yet. Chairperson Delgado,
Yes.
thank you. With all members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes 4001 with Commissioner Baines absent currently.
Okay, and 2A, review the recommendations of the Urban Growth Boundary UGB Committee and recommendations to the City Council approve of the Sphere of Influence Study Program. This item was continued from February 1st, 2022, the Planning Commission. And Brian, could you take it away, please? Brian, unmute yourself.
I'm going to share my screen in a minute here. So let's get the staff report for a second. I don't have a slideshow, but I'll be reviewing just the staff report and the maps associated with those. So so here we have the staff report, and the pertinent parts are that this evening, the Planning Commission is being asked to look at the recommendation of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee and recommend that the City Council review the recommendation of the UGB Committee and approve a contract with EMC Planning Group to develop a sphere of influence proposal for presentation to San Benito County and San Benito County LAFCO as referenced in the attachment to the staff report. I'll pull that up in a minute. Basically, here, the Planning Commission is not being asked to review a sphere of influence, not being asked to approve or recommend to the City Council that they approve a sphere of influence. What is happening here is that the Urban Growth Boundary Committee came up with a preliminary scheme for developing a sphere of influence proposal to the county and to LAFCO.
Excuse me,
yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Can I ask, we have someone that's a telephone number and a hand raised under attendees, and I think it could be Dr. Baines. Can we recognize her so that we bring her into the meeting?
Yes, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute here. I believe in that's in the attendees, right?
Yes.
That's Jackie's phone number there
Oh, it's also on the other?
in the panelists. Or in the attendees, I have a phone number, which is Jackie's phone number with her hand up.
Okay. She was still in the attendees and not in my panelists, but.
Yes,
okay.
and
I'm sorry.
yeah. Okay, and her hand is up. So I just asked her to unmute herself and she has.
So is that what's going on here?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Chair Delgado, sorry for the interruption, Brian. I'm having difficulty. I was not sent a link. Therefore, I'm on my phone. If there's some way that's a link, you can send me the link. Trish, I can sign on to the meeting.
I'll try to get into panelist invite, but that's in Brian's Zoom account, and I'm not in his Zoom account. I'm just not sure if that's something Brian.
So let me see if I can Let me see if I can do this. No, it doesn't seem like I can do it. Let's see.
You're there on the main page with your phone number and we can hear you. I don't think that we can enhance it any further as a panelist.
Well, I guess it would be preferential if I did have the link and I could sign on to the Zoom meeting.
Did you send me a copy of that, Trish, or just to the planning commissioners? So I could
No,
forward it.
everybody got it. It's been published. The general one, not individual panelists, get their own panelist invite individually, sent
I see.
directly
Which,
to their email.
yeah, I did not get that today, Trish.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
make sure next time I send it that I confirm that you got it. I'm very sorry.
All right, so I'm going to continue sharing the screen. So here, the Urban Growth Boundary Committee, consisting of 2 members of the City Council, 2 members of the Planning Commission, and EJ Sabathia, also met together before the end of the year and reached consensus on a preliminary sphere for San Juan Bautista, shown on the map, which I'll put up in a second. And the idea here is to put together a preliminary sphere for evaluation, so that we present the county and the planning commission with a rational basis for a sphere of influence proposal based on planning concepts. And here, what the Urban Growth Boundary Committee felt was important was that the urban growth boundary and what we're talking about here is a sphere of influence, not an urban growth boundary, that the areas, the important concepts, contiguity, concentric growth, land use compatibility, circulation, and achievement of open space objectives were important to achieve with respect to the sphere of influence proposal that we send off to the county and LAFCO. The second tier, and so the first tier, generally adjacent to the city boundary, represent logical areas for planned residential, commercial, and industrial employment. And the second tier are areas where the city really feels that, or the urban growth boundary really felt that the viability of the first tier would depend on open space conservation, resource protection, watershed protection, and recreation are important key elements. And so those are the areas that were felt to be important for those purposes. And then with respect to the graphic, these are the boundaries. You see here if you see the boundary here, these are Williamson Act properties on the east side primarily. You can see here the preponderance of Williamson Act parcels. And also these areas are really subject to a lot of constraints with respect to the earthquake hazard area, the flood zone boundary, which you can see underlying most of these areas in this area and in this area here. So, most of the growth, development potential that we have adjacent to existing city boundaries and utilizing the existing pattern of development to suggest areas that can be developed. And then adjacent to the limitations that I just discussed. So, what we thought was that we would start with an evaluation of 2 tiers. The first tier being evaluated for potential growth and development, and the second tier being evaluated for resource protection. And so those are the important elements of the sphere of influence proposal. And what I'd like to show you here is how close the Urban Growth Boundary Committee's recommendation is to the proposed sphere of influence in the existing general plan. The as you know, the current sphere of influence is a big rectangular area around the city, which was really doesn't bear any resemblance to any consideration of growth and development or resource protection. And but this proposed sphere of influence here in red is very close to the urban growth boundary that the Urban Growth Boundary Committee felt was appropriate. And then if you see here, the yellow area of concern, very close to what the committee felt should be tier 2. And so the shape of things down here is very similar to both tiers. The shape up here is a little bit more expansive than the committee recommended for tier 2.
Brian,
Yes.
Brian, could you share that picture with the public? Because I just see your letter, your staffing commission report.
Oh,
So that's it.
okay, I am sharing this. Let's see here. Let me make sure I'm sharing the screen because I thought that I was. Hang on a minute.
You're not.
Okay, let me go get that. Just a second here.
EJ, did you have a quick comment?
It's the same comment you just made. I think you're sharing the wrong screen, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, let's see here. Now is that up?
It's not.
Okay, I wonder how that happens because, okay, this is what you're saying, right? The staff report. So let me stop sharing that.
Correct.
And let me go to the, is that, are you seeing that? No.
We see you.
Yes, just a second. I think I know what's happening here. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's, all right, good. So here's
No.
the general plan map, the area outlined in red, proposed sphere of influence, very close to tier 1, and the outline in yellow, very close to tier 2, recommended by the Urban Growth Boundary Committee. Despite the fact that this map was in the general plan, a very different sphere of influence recommendation was made and adopted and proposed, but not adopted. And so what we're suggesting, so if you keep this particular map in mind and you, let's see here. And then you look at this particular map, you'll see here that this configuration, especially in the south, is very similar. The open space area here, portion of this area on the west side is also included in the second tier, but also in the previous map, part of the recommended sphere of influence area of concern, and this area too, up in the north part. So overall, very similar to what was shown in the general plan map. And so as part of the proposal to here, we've asked, let's see here if we can get the I can navigate this here. We do have a proposal that we've asked EMC Planning Group to submit to us. And what this does is a couple of things. This is a program that will evaluate at the same level as the general plan. a community plan that establishes a realistic sphere of influence based on our general plan growth rate and considerations for open space conservation and employment development and housing development close into the city. And what we've done here is we've combined the programs for development of a specific plan on the south end of town with the money budgeted for a sphere of influence proposal. And we've combined those dollars in a new program to establish a realistic sphere of influence for the city. And the idea here is that we have about 7 or 8 months left on the planning grant used to do the South Side planning effort. And we're combining that with the money budgeted for the sphere of influence. And we will come out with a sphere of influence proposal that has a realistic circulation pattern, a realistic balance of land uses, and an evaluation enabling us to propose hopefully a mitigated negative declaration, the CEQA document that goes along with this, because it'll be within the context of the general plan growth rate. So as you can see here, using the guidance provided in our SB2 grant application, excuse me, there is a phase 1 work that would revise the city's general plan to reference growth boundaries and ensure consistency between the new potential growth areas in the general plan, and then secondarily to look at land use designations and zoning districts to create the sphere of influence, as well as to develop some design guidelines for the South San Juan area that are consistent with design principles that are in the general plan. So what we're hoping to do here is have a document at the end of the day that enables LAFCO to complete a municipal services review. That is the last component of an amended sphere of influence that will give us a sphere of influence that accomplishes the resource protection, open space conservation, and community character that we're all after. And so, as you can see here, let me see if I can give you an idea of this is the starting point here. This is not the end result. This is where we start, and this is the basis for our evaluation of a recommended sphere of influence to present to the City Council, and then Planning Commission, City Council, and then LAFCO and the county. So here, I'm not going to go through the scope of work in detail, but I did want to show you at the end here the schedule and the tasks. So we're thinking that this overall approach will begin in February this month, and this is going to City Council on February 15th, which is why it was important that we have the special meeting tonight. And then it will end in September 2022. And this is a mandatory time schedule because the SB2 grant program cannot be extended, and the monies have to be expended by this period, which will give HCD, Housing and Community Development at the state, an opportunity to look at our product and to compensate us for the work that we've done. So that is where we are with this grant, and it's going to kick off a planning program that involves community engagement. It's going to involve some conceptual review by the Planning Commission. There's going to be some back and forth with respect to what the proposed sphere of influence actually accomplishes, and it will make some important reference some important connections that we need to make with respect to our circulation system and our infrastructure. It'll be the basis for actually putting together, for example, realistic traffic zone fee impact areas so that we can get the kind of intersections, roundabouts, street improvements that we really need to make the south end of town function adequately to promote economic development and in both employment and housing, and accomplish the conservation objectives that we want for the east side and the north side. We purposely, and I think the Urban Growth Boundary Committee purposely did not include areas to the east because those are prime agricultural lands that we don't anticipate there being any development potential there. And instead, the county's conservation element will pick those Williamson Act areas up, and they won't be available for development based on our general plan and also the county's general plan and the fact that they are all Williamson Act contract lands. So that's the staff report, and be happy to answer any questions. And I think that two of the members of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee are present and available to answer questions as well. So that's the staff report.
Thank you, Brian, for your report. Trish, is there anybody in the public that has any hands up for their comments or concerns or anything?
No, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay.
We did get some public testimony via email.
Oh, okay.
I can let's see if I can get that here.
How many did you get, Brian?
We got one from
Okay.
Caravon.
Okay.
And let's see here if I can find that today. Or
I
did
have
that
it,
come in
Brian,
yesterday?
I have it if you'd like me to read it.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do that, Trish.
All right, ready? All right, this is from Carl Vonk. Sphere of Influence report and consultant proposal is on the agenda. And looking at the map, I have some concerns. Number one, this will promote housing developments versus infill. What happened to our walkable city surrounded by open space? Two, development of the backside of Rancho Vista / Christopher Ranch adjacent to Highway 156 will spoil the open hillside views to prepare visitors for a step back in time. Number three, not sure, but the yellow tier 2 on the south side of Highway 156 appears to impact the Nyland property. Number four, not sure, but the lead-in trail and De Anza Trail appear to be impacted by the yellow tier 2 development. Number five, no mention of recreational open space within our sphere of influence and future development. The earlier uncompleted specific plan that I was part of imagined a wildlife center near the De Anza Trail. You may wish to be present via Zoom for the presentation. That was directed to Emily Renzel. Cara.
Thank you, Trish. Is there any more comments from the public?
I think there, EJ had
We have
his
EJ.
hand up.
Go ahead, AJ.
This is not meant to be a direct response, but kind of an explanation. I had planned to speak on an explanation, and Jackie, please speak up if I'm misquoting. But when we all talked, a lot of the tier 1 and tier 2 zonings, while on the surface, we had this discussion, might appear to promote housing. That wasn't the intent at all. The intent was to, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the intent was to have a say in what happens there, not necessarily to promote housing. So by bringing things within our sphere of influence, it doesn't say, hey, we're going to put houses here. The idea and the intent was for the city and for all of us to have control over those areas, to have the power to say, hey, we don't want housing here in these areas. And so that's just I wanted to make sure that was clear to people. It wasn't just about, like, stating places where houses could be or where growth should be. It was a lot of it was, like Brian mentioned, the eastern area of town, we didn't see a need to try to influence that area because of the Williamson Act properties and things like that, where we wouldn't have to have an influence to make sure that we had a quote unquote buffer around town.
Yes, that's correct. And the other thing to add to that, I think the important thing about the yellow areas, those were the areas that the committee felt we should take a really close look at conservation principles and approaches for, and you know, even in the orange areas, transfer of development programs, you know, for open space conservation. I mean, these are all things that we expect this evaluation to take a close look at as tools for conservation and preservation of the city's essential rural character, small town character. So, and I think the public testimony assumes that this is the sphere of influence proposal. This is, as I said before, it's a starting point for evaluation to determine what that proposal should look like. Both tier 1 and tier 2, these configurations are going to change as this moves through the public engagement program, planning commission, city council, and through conversations with the county and LAFCO. So this is the first step and gets us started on the road to evaluating what that sphere should actually look like. So.
Chairman, I promoted Jackie Morris Lopez to panelist.
All right, thank you. Thank you, EJ, for that explanation. And that's why we're here. Okay, there's no other comments from the public. Trish?
Yes, actually there is Jerome Peters.
Okay, and make sure that we have a timer. Trish?
Okay.
Hi, this is Jerome. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I just saw this proposal, so I haven't had much time to evaluate it, but I'm curious, what are the plans to communicate with the actual owners of these parcels?
Yeah, so the program involves a community engagement component and a stakeholder outreach effort. So, you know, usually what happens is, you know, we're starting with this configuration, and this establishes an area of potential interest on the part of landowners and the public in general. And so there will be an effort to reach out to stakeholders, including property owners, as part of the program.
When does that start then?
Well, that starts, if you want, I can go into the scope of work a little bit, but it starts almost immediately. That's one of the first things that our consultants are expected to do, is to put together a community engagement program and to start that outreach.
Okay.
So right after February 15th, like I said, this is a very short planning program compared to others. And so I expect within the first couple of months, there's going to be an outreach effort, assemble lists and start to pull people together for a conversation about their interests, you know, overall.
Okay, thank you. I think part of at least for me, part of the effort should be, what does this mean? You know, what exactly does this mean to the people to the properties that are outlined here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, landowner interests are always taken into account. Community character is important, but everybody has to, you know, we're gonna, you know, where the sphere is applied, you know, that is a community control that's expressed there. So that is a concern.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Peters. Trish, is there anybody else?
No, there are no other hands raised.
Okay, with that, I'm going to ask the commissioners if they have any questions of the staff. Commissioner Baines is absent. Commissioner McChain, any questions of the staff on the sphere?
No, I don't have any
any questions. As I have been involved in the project, I think, well, everything is clear to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Commissioner Maderos, do you have any questions to staff?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you see me?
yes.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah, you know, I went through the whole package in the last couple of days. It was nice to get an extra week into this. And I do have a lot of questions. I don't have a whole lot of concerns. I think we're in a position right now to go forward with this. I feel comfortable in doing so. I think the committee has done some outstanding work there. Appreciate that very much. Let them know that. I don't know, we did listen to committee member Machan and EJ. And I didn't hear anything from Jackie. I'd like to hear something from her if she has anything to add. But I think the outreach program is probably going to be critical. And I'd like to see that to be handled in such a way that it becomes an educational process to learn how this process works. We're dealing with the general plan and we're dealing with the county itself. And it means we're going to enter a phase with LAFCO that we need to approach them. My question to there is, how is that going to be done? How is that expected to be done? Who is doing that? Is that in just application form? Will there be an actual stand-in meeting to go over that? Is that something that the commissioners get involved with so that we can see whatever we're putting forward is being met? And I understand that where Kara Vonk is coming from, perhaps she thinks this is really another step in how we're going to grow as a community, which is probably yes, in certain ways, but yet how we're going to protect our smallness, I think is something that we need to really look at because that's our heritage. Another heritage is our rural area, and that's the county. And that's another heritage that we need to look at, and how going forward with this sphere of influence, how much of an impact that we gain from it in such a way that we're able to address because I know that this in turn will be an update amendment to the general plan as we go forward, because there's lacking certain parts of it that we need to ensure that's in it. And whatever we put in there will govern for us as a local agency, I should say, to tell the state we're ready when it comes to housing crisis, because we have been able to be accountable for everything that we're doing here in such a way that we protect our smallness and protect our, rural heritage as well. And how we're going to do that, I think we hope to find that out better when we get involved with the outreach program with EMC and what have you. So that's really where I'm coming from. And I think I'm hoping that that's what we're going to learn as a community and going forward as planning commissioners, is where are we going to stand at the end of all this? Because we're in the midst of a housing crisis right now. There's no question about it. There's a lot of mandates out there. There's even a state assembly bill that tells us we have to be accountable. And there's certain things that govern that and govern us to make sure that we do all the right things. Like, for instance, recently, there was an attempt to cut back on low-income housing and what have you in certain areas because they thought that they had a mountain lion habitat that they could not disturb. And the state said, that doesn't count. So what is it about our county? What is it about our community that counts? According to the state says that we'll do everything necessary to make sure that we make our town a walkable, small community, that's part of our heritage. And also, what about the surrounding area that we live in, like our San Juan Valley? How important that is to us. What's being staged out there that we can do something within our general plan to instill throughout the region of the county that we're doing everything to prevent and protect and defend our rural heritage. Thank you.
Yeah, just
thank-
as a way of answering Commissioner Madero's question, I'd like just to sort of take a look at page 3.
Yeah.
And as we finish, as we finish this, the steps necessary to get this done is that we're going to finish identifying the proposed sphere of influence as established in the scope, and that will be something the city council takes on. Then we're going to go to the county, city council's direction to discuss with the county a prospective boundary to accomplish our general plan growth rate. We don't want to trigger a new general plan EIR, so we're going to stay within the confines of the general plan growth projections as much as possible and try to calibrate the areas that we have with employment and so that we end up with this population growth rate that we've projected already. Then what we want to do is pre-adopt general plan designations and pre-zone the map so that when we go to the county and when we go to LAFCO, we'll have these general plan designations and pre-zonings areas in place. And then we'll adopt a city CEQA document that we'll need to have to go forward to LAFCO. So once these are all adopted by the city council, then we'll request that LAFCO process the sphere of influence update. And because the city and the county are in agreement with our proposal, LAFCO will give, according to LAFCO's own regulations or procedures, great weight to the city and county's agreement. So this will all be processed through the Planning Commission and City Council, starting at the community level, and then via formal recommendation to the county as we go to the county and propose the sphere backed up by this planning program that we've outlined here.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maderos. Thank you, Brian, for answering that. Commissioner Jackie Morris Lopez, do you have any questions to staff?
No questions. Thank you, Chair Delgado. I also was one of the commissioners on the committee, the Urban Growth Boundary Committee and the Sphere of Influence. Prior to being a commissioner, I was a community member at large, where EJ Sabathia is now the community member. And I agree with him. I also recognize and am sympathetic and listening to Ms. Caravanc's concerns. But like EJ stated, I think the intent here was that we were not specifically stating or pointing to, at this point in time, to say this is where we want more development of housing or homes. Our intent is to put the focus on our small town feel. I feel like urban growth boundary is kind of a misnomer because we're not an urban center. We are a small rural community, semi-rural. I mean, the facts are is that we are really close to Gilroy and Hollister, what are, becoming more urban, definitely. So we are a small town, a small city. So the urban growth boundary to me has always kind of been a little misnomer. But the whole intent of this is giving the power to us, the San Juan people and our citizens and our government before dictates are being handed down by the county level. And as we know, as Commissioner Madero said, there's a lot of stress on cities everywhere mandated by the state, new laws to grow and build and expand. So this is a safety net, or actually not a net. This is really going to instrumentally be our say in how we want to grow, and also an area of where we have influence. Because if we don't do this, the county will do it for us. So at this stage, I agree. It's not about where we want housing or development to go. We're also looking specifically to preserve open and green spaces. I encourage everybody that's attending the meeting to share this with your neighbors. We need more community involvement.
of course, the property owners that are impacted by this will be, engaged and we'll listen to them. But I think the community at large really needs to come to the table and tell us what they would like within the sphere of influence and the boundaries. It's really important to have everybody tell us what they want to see. I think it's real important. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris Lopez. So I get to go last. Thank you to the Committee of the Sphere of Influence. And I like it. I like that we get to now speak about the growth, and we have, like EJ said, and Jackie reiterate, and Luis, and I think the people that are on the committee are doing a great job. So thank you. And thank you to you, Brian, for dealing with this. So with that, can I ask for a motion?
Why don't you read the motion and somebody will move it?
It's
Yeah, the motion would be in the second paragraph under recommended action.
Right.
Yeah.
Want me to do it?
I don't have that printed out.
No, I'll get it. Hang on.
I didn't print that out. I'm so
Hang on,
sorry.
Sloopy. I can't get it.
Hold on.
I can't get my view to exit full screen. Why is that? Okay. Make a motion, recommend to the City Council, review the recommendation of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee and approve a contract with EMC Planning Group to develop a sphere of influence proposal for presentation to San Benito County and San Benito County LAFCO as contained in attachment 1.
Oh, gosh.
I second. I second.
Okay. Trish, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Machain,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Baines is absent, Chairperson Delgado.
Yes.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes 4001 with Commissioner Baines absent.
Thank you all again for the special meeting and getting this through. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I propose a motion to adjourn this meeting tonight, Chair Delgado.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Deputy City Clerk, can you have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Machain,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
That's
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Delgado.
Yes.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes.
Thank you all for your participation. Have a good evening. Good night.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.
my hand's raised. No, I'm just kidding.